Mediocre Hobbies podcast. Painting Indomitus just before Leviathan. Follow us online. Andy is at youtube.com/mediocre hobbies. Tom is at tomlandy.com.
Okay, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Mediocre Hobbies podcast. Myself and Mr. Thomas. I'm going to call you Thomas from now on. I really like it.
Yeah, do what you like. You're the boss.
Are back at it again, where we're going to be talking about my challenge, which is Indomitus week, how that's going or not going, and talk through why I'm doing it and how I plan to complete it and stuff like that. So, does that make sense to you, Mr. Thomas?
100%.
100%.
All sense, all the time.
All the sense ever. Now you've got preferences. I don't like that particular brand at all. There, you've never used it, but I don't like that.
I'm glad everyone's come here for consumer advice.
Of course. You're buying the name, people, and don't worry, we do it too. Be fine.
How's Indomitus week? I see you're in the middle of my least favorite model in the box, bikes. Yeah, I know, and they're great models, but Christ on that, like they're horrible, aren't they?
Horrid. They're a thing, all right, but they're. My plan is I've basically gotten all the base coats on all the miniatures now. So I'm going to get them all washed and based and then continue on with because my plan for today is to break it up into 5 assault intercessors, the lieutenant and the bikes. Bit off more than I can chew. So I'm going to continue on after this with the assault intercessor and the lieutenant. And I'm going to save the bikes for the stream tonight. I'm going to continue on working with them because there's just, they're looking cool though. I'm like, happy enough with like where the colors are placed. And now that all the base coats are on, you're like, hey, you're cool. I like you. And I actually 3D printed and added like raised details for
nice
like their symbol on the shoulder pads and on the side of the bikes and stuff. So a little bit more added up and stuff. So
I like that.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about how to approach a project like this, because I think like I don't know the average demographic, but if you've been in the hobby long enough, you've been to an event, and what you're doing now is exactly what every single person I know has done before an event. They get to a point, they submit their army list, and they go, oh, I need to paint this.
Yes.
Or worse, they submit their army list, and it's happened to me once or twice, and then a new model comes out that you can include, and then you have to get it done in time for the event. So I think what I want to talk to you about, and I really enjoyed your video yesterday, so we're recording on Tuesday, the Monday video, where it was basically you doing all the Necrons, but a huge portion at the beginning was just clean your space. And that's not normal advice. That's like a weird thing to start what this week is. So what I'm really interested in is, what do you think? I know that's important, obviously, but what do you think is like the most important things that someone can do when they're trying to do what you're doing? And so you're in a situation now where you've got a week to do this, right? And obviously you're doing a lot more than just painting an army, because you're, as you said in the video, you're moving the camera and you're trying to focus on this and you're trying to do X, Y, and Z. And it's more of it is a proper project rather than just you painting an army. So what do you think are like the things that are really important? And for the people out there who have armies, who haven't got stuff done, overall, what can they do, and in what kind of, to get them from where they are now with like a whole army that's unpainted, like to an army that's at least where the Necrons are that you did yesterday, for example?
So like there's a couple of different things to consider. One, I think the most important things to consider is why are you in that situation in the first place? I know that's a silly thing to say, because usually you think about it when you're already in the situation, but I personally have never gone to a tournament and been painting the day before. I've managed to avoid that, because you usually do have a substantial amount of time from like booking your ticket or knowing you're going to this event to then do. But people do tend to be like, it's fine. No, I'll get to that next week. No, I'll start it next week. No, and then it's.
I'm in a WhatsApp group with a bunch of friends, and I got sent a photograph of a guy who had literally fallen asleep at the gaming table about 2 Sundays ago, because he was in an event and it was a 1-day event, and he had to have something done, and he stayed up all night to do it, and he was literally just like down and asleep at the table.
Well, like, even if he hadn't have fallen asleep, I promise you, he had no fun that day.
Yep.
It's like,
Agreed.
why do you do it yourself? You're supposed to be going to these events to have fun and enjoy yourself. So just,
Yeah, and it's just to have said as well, that's different to going to an event, like a weekend event, going out on the Saturday night and getting too drunk. And like,
Yep.
at least then you've had fun, right? You're not just struggling to achieve bare minimum. But yeah, I've never been in that situation. I've always had things done beforehand because usually I'm traveling, so I don't have the opportunity to paint things on the day. But I think what you're doing this week is a really prime example of that, right?
Yeah.
Really tight deadline. How do you get it done? What was your initial take on that when you were starting this out? Like, because it's a big job to do in a week.
It is. So it originally had started with the idea of me doing Indomitus, the whole set, or what was left of my Indomitus. But like I said, I don't know if I said it on the streamer thing. What I think happened is I bought an Indomitus, had my Indomitus. Games Workshop Dublin, the Stories to Manage, had an Indomitus on display. And then that Indomitus got cut down to be the starter sets that went on the intro table. I think I took the extra bits that were now no longer available.
Are those sirens I can hear? Sure, there's sirens. Never mind. Never mind.
I think I painted those up, and those are what's. So I was like, I've used these bits already, so there's not that much in the box. So when I started this project and I opened up the box and saw the entire thing full, I was like, oh no, this was not part of my plan. Yep. So it quickly shifted to painting the entire box set in a week. And that's why I put so much work in yesterday, because I knew I could paint Necrons fast, even though it took me from 8 in the morning until 8 in the evening, basically, to do them. I nearly died. And for everyone else who thinks, it's fine, you've got 8 in the evening. 8 in the evening is when I stop painting, and then I'd start editing a video. So there's a lot more work that goes into it than when I stop painting.
Yep. I think that's what people miss when they watch a channel, because there's, as you said, there's so much more to do outside of just I would find it really funny, when you watch like I don't know, Homes Under the Hammer or some other terrible like midday TV show, and Jim or whatever, who's the presenter's walking up to the door, and then immediately it cuts to them inside the house where they open the door and say hi to Jim for the first time. I mean, that camera crew's in the house, right? Like, it's like nobody thinks of that because we've grown up seeing it. So when you turn around and you go, oh, well, I just happen to have Rabute Goldman. So Rabute is here, and then all of a sudden the camera's here for the next shot. It's like, that takes 10 minutes sometimes. Yes. And in your case, it's not even in focus.
No. Not even remotely.
I like your Necrons. They're really simple. Brown and then dirty, right? Like that's the crux of it. It's rust. So why did you choose that? Did you choose that Tomb World specifically because it was easy, or was there something else to it? No, you just always wanted to do it?
I always wanted to. I showed the old Necron Codex from 4th edition at the beginning.
Yeah, the one with 12 pages in it.
Yeah, 12. The extended edition, So that inspired me back in the day. It's why I did, like, there was loads of schemes in that book that I loved back in the day that I wasn't capable of doing. So that's why I did that video on the ceramics one a while ago and stuff. I really enjoyed that. And then the rust was my next take on it. I wanted to do this. And I finally had all the kind of tools and techniques and stuff down that I was like, all right, I'm going to finally do this. And I could have just sprayed them silver, Nuln Oil, dry brush silver, green. I could have done that and it would have been even quicker again.
Yep.
But I wanted them to just be a little bit different, especially if we're going for the Martian bases. That's going to match the Marines. I think it would be cooler to match it in that way. So, they've always been there. The idea of like Necron Tomb World lasts forever, but it's still on a planet. So tectonic plates can shift and crush huge sections of it. They've got no control over that. So they don't all come out pristine and working. So what are these worlds where the old janitors are broken, so it doesn't get fixed or repaired or put back together over thousands of years, and then these guys wake up all clanking and wrecked. And I love that.
I also think this is the first time I've seen you do a basing tutorial in about a year. So I don't know if I've seen you do, because normally what happens is it's like, while that was dry and I did the base, like that's your usual bit. So it was interesting to see you do bases again. And I think the first time I've seen you use something that isn't just, I don't know what it's called, but Sterling Mud or whatever the red one is.
The Martian Iron Curse that I use,
That's her, yeah. So I know you've not been using that necessarily for a while. You've used the AK stuff and everything else, but it was interesting to see you do that for the first time in a long time and see that the process had changed, but not massively.
Yeah, for sure. Like, that I knew that I was going to get a bunch of questions asked on. Like, as soon as I don't do something, I get asked questions on it, which is not a bad thing because more questions, more engagement, which pushes the video out more. So it's all good to be asked questions, but it's still, the amount of times I've been asked where these painting handles are from. No, they never do. But yeah, those. So I did add in the bases, and yeah, I basically came off of Martian Iron Crust as soon as I found Fireland was the same thing, because I came off of the rest of them and I've been using the AK, Stark Earth, Light Earth, Mud, Asphalt. They're all there, and I use them for.
Yeah, I've not used the AK ones. I've got a bunch of the Vallejo ones, exactly the same thing, but the
same idea.
Pots are bigger, and again, I was
buying the same thing.
I was buying bulk.
Yeah, so like even the Fireland unfortunately isn't the size. I wish it was this size.
Oh yeah. Well, that Dark Earth is so good. Like I think those they do water effect and stuff as well, and they're unbelievably good.
Yeah.
But I mean, even I have it in front of me. Like my, I just use base ready. Like everything I do is base readied, and it is 12 seconds, and it's done, and it's so quick.
So yeah, like I was saying, use that, and I went through the whole process of the crust and then adding in the orange contrast and a few dry brushes and stuff, just to show that I do it on like a production line scale when I'm doing a project like this, and they all get done at the same time. And one of my favorite things about the AK stuff is how quickly it dries.
Yeah,
so like
definitely.
By the time I get to the last model of applying this, I can go back and contrast the first model. It's dry, It dries back, which is insane compared to Martian Iron Crust. It would be apply, come back tomorrow. Like, so
yeah. Well, I mean, I'm really lucky at the moment. I don't know if you can kind of just see the window there, but I've got at the moment, like southeasterly facing room that I work in. So as I'm at work, I can paint stuff, and I literally can just drop it by the window, and it dries in 20 minutes. And it doesn't matter what I'm doing. I can just get a layer done, move on to the next bit, do some work, actually do some work, and then go back and do some more painting. And it's just nice to have the space to do it. And what are you kind of? I assume you're a bit more apprehensive about the Space Marines because there's, as you say in the first video, more detail, more to do. Like what's are you ahead of schedule? Are you going to make your?
I'm already behind schedule. I've already decided that now my evenings, obviously my evenings are taken up by streams and stuff, but my like Wednesday evening and my Thursday or my Friday evening will no longer be Andy chill out time. I'll probably take a character each evening to paint through, and just to try and get through more miniatures, because
well, I'm definitely adding to that time as well. Like, so for context, for anyone who doesn't know, we normally record for like 90 minutes and I get 25 minutes out of it. And today we're trying to hit a hard 30 minutes because he ain't got time.
He ain't got time for that. Someone gave out to us in our comments they want longer episodes. So
cool. Thanks.
Anyway, good to know.
I don't disagree with them. I just think longer episodes, any longer than 30 minutes is too long, if you ask me. And I don't want to have to deal with that quantity of video.
Give people context on yesterday. My video was 18 minutes long yesterday. That was 2 hours and 45 minutes of footage. So
Christ.
that's what I've condensed down and make that so coherent or work
it's a lot. I suppose that's backspace. In terms of your approach to this week, I think I take it what you're doing is you're going in with the plan to achieve something. You're not just going in with the plan to, I'm going to paint a thing. You're like, I'm going to paint this squad of bikes, or this squad of bikes and these 5 assault intercessors. Like, do you think that's a different approach to the common wisdom of just spend 20 minutes a day painting something?
I think they're pretty much, I think they kind of work out to be the same kind of. So I like to paint for 20 minutes a day is a lie. I like to tell people to paint for 20 minutes a day, but it's just the idea of getting you set up inside the paint desk. Once you've begun, you're not stopping after 20 minutes. You're going to continue on to paint for an hour or 2 hours or whatever. It's just getting over that initial annoyance of getting everything ready and sitting down and get your shows on and kit play and fresh water and your clean towels and your models. Once that bit of it is done, then you're laughing. So No, I'm not too pushed on the idea of finishing a squad or finishing something every time you paint. I'm certainly okay with leaving. I definitely have like natural stopping points where like if I'm in the evening time, I'm like, oh, I'll get something base coat and washed. That's always a natural stopping point for me. Like I can put them to the side now and come back tomorrow and they're red. I also like to try and get the basing material on their base. So when I come back tomorrow, I'm like, nothing's stopping me from getting this model from where it is now to complete. Nothing will stop me painting. So I can't wait. So yeah, it's generally how I go about it. But like today, I wanted to finish Space Marines in blocks. I didn't want to just do the red on all the Space Marines, the black on all the Space Marines. I was like, I want 5 assault intercessors and a lieutenant things done.
Yeah.
Tick, tick, tick. I had 3 successes today. I feel good about where I'm going.
But like, I think you've set yourself up in a way to achieve like that this week. Like you've got Indomitus is a pretty big box, but I think you mentioned it in the first video. The problem with Indominus is not the models. It's the fact there's about 12 characters in there when you take into account the Blade Guard veterans and the banner guy and is there chaplain and
there's 5 Space Marine characters plus 3 Blade Guards, 8 characters.
And then the Necron characters who admittedly take less work, but they're still characters.
Yeah. For sure. They're bigger usually with the size of that guy. But yeah, like once you get to something like the Space Marine captain who has that like skeleton on his shield and all those kind of details and all that, it suddenly becomes this really daunting thing to just even put base coats and wash him. It can take a lot of time. So that's the kind of thing I would like to do in one of those evenings. I'm like, I'm gonna base coat and wash this guy before I go to bed. It'll take an hour. And just when I start the next morning, I'm like, I did all the base coats and washes already. Sue me. And then I can just add a few, an hour of layering and he's done, and then boom, next model, boom, next model. I had a bunch of different like ideas for how I wanted to do this. Day one, I was tempted to just do all the assault intercessors, be like a big block of 10 dudes, just done, out of the way, finished. And I probably would have been easier than what I've decided to do, but whatever. I'll make do, I guess.
And what's different about this week to a normal week for you? Are you still, I can't remember what's out on Saturday actually, but are you still planning to have your normal Saturday videos for whatever's on pre-order this week? Or is it just Indominus this week? Is that just your focus?
I took a week off of normal content. So no Middle Earth Monday or Token Tuesday, depending on how late I am.
I thought that was Token Thursday at one stage as well. Yeah.
The only one I need to try and figure out is my Patreon video and try and give them their special thing for this week, whether that's going to be, I don't know, it could just even be just an extra vlog behind the scenes or a little funny bloopers reel or something silly that's just for them. But no, I have no time to do anything else other than this, which means that next week is I think there's 3 or 4 sponsored random videos next week.
Oh, wow.
Because I couldn't do them this week. So yeah, next week is busy as all hell. Yeah.
That's interesting to think because, I mean, obviously you've cleared a schedule to do this. Yeah. So even though the idea of just painting the box in a week seems very doable from someone who paints as quickly as I do, knowing that you've also stopped doing everything else in order to do that is a really interesting approach. I was going to ask as well, what's your, obviously still streaming and everything, so your plan for this evening stream is bikes, is that right?
Yeah.
What are you just going to basically max out your week? All the streams is just going to be Indomitus and
it's all part of Indomitus week. Both streams will be participating in the event itself, and I'll be working on them all the way through and stuff. So yes, it is a kind of an all hands on deck kind of situation to try and achieve my goal of painting the 63 miniatures in a week.
Well, I mean, I think you hit the ground running with the Necrons.
Yes.
That was
space with these space.
Yeah, well, I think that's the fear, isn't it? That was this morning. It's just getting them ready this morning. Finished 5 assault intercessors. They're not any good, but they're good enough that I could take them out and play them and not be embarrassed. That's this process, isn't it? It's just getting things done to a point where it's
almost like it's called Mediocre Hobbies or something. It's like stop stressing yourself.
Yeah, that's it. That's a very good. Stop stressing yourself is absolutely it. Because the thing is, I'm a much better painter than I was a year ago because I paint a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you're not my goal which I don't know if I said on the show, is I want to do Golden Demon next year.
Yeah.
So I need to up my skill between now and then, because otherwise I'm wasting everyone's time. Yeah, I'm wasting my own money, I'm wasting my weekend, and then I'm wasting the judges' time to even have to waste their time looking at something. So I'm definitely trying to improve, but how I get there is going to be very different than how I would have got there a year ago, because what I'm going to do now probably is have the same model 10 times and mess up the first 4 or 5, and I'll get better progressively as I do it. But that's not what I'm doing when I'm painting High Elves. Like, that's not what I'm doing when I'm painting Space Marines. What I'm doing there is I'm just trying to match the army and get it done. What's your biggest challenge with the Space Marines this week?
Time.
Well,
No,
only
like I
if
said,
only someone had not put this arbitrary timescale on it. No.
probably,
Yeah.
we'll see. Yeah. It's just like it's like a natural gap. I mean, like there isn't anything out next Saturday. They're bringing out those like Death Guard Marines again.
Oh
and,
yeah.
Like it's a real nothing week. When it's been so long since I've had, like, in the last like month, there's been 2 kill team sets and it's very unlikely that I get these gaps. So I'm like, you know what? Let's do this.
Yep.
So
That's true.
So even last Saturday, I just usually I hit the, like, I do big 40k videos on Saturdays to do the best, but I just did my little dinosaur man, my Agrodon lizard.
Yeah, he's cool.
Such
a cool model.
Yeah.
So cool.
So had fun with him, and I could do that because I knew this week that I'm doing now is going to be whole 40k. So I could be like, I can take a little dip in views there because it should make up for it here. And
Yeah, definitely. And I think it'll be interesting then to see what happens as and when Leviathan rolls out, and people like you, I imagine, assuming Leviathan arrives, you'll be doing how to paint each individual model in the box, whereas other teams are gonna, like, let's pretend next Monday's Leviathan drop, right? And everyone can show their stuff. Someone's going to have a battle report ready to go, which means they're going to have everything painted ready to go. And they're going to be cramming as much to get done now so they can launch with that. Whereas other people like yourself, like, not that you don't have any prep to do for that kind of thing. Obviously, you have to build stuff, but you literally just have to start fresh on that day rather than. And so it's going to be interesting to see what the kind of gamut of people like yourself right the way through to the guys who have everything done day one, and what that's going to feel like from a, because I think your method's more appealing, because let's pretend it's the same as a normal 40k and there's 2-week period and all that kind of stuff. I don't really want to see someone have everything done day one. I think that's a bit like disheartening for me because I don't have anything, and having somebody else have something weeks in advance, and then I've kind of lost the drive by the time it happens. Whereas this approach with Indomitus is great because it's keep the momentum up, keep the skills up. On your Twitch, you can talk about, what you might do with the Tyranids, or what people, we know all the models, so blah, blah, blah. And it can kind of keep that excitement going. Whereas I think it gets a bit boring sometimes when it's just everything's out and everything's done in one day.
Well, I guess that's the different people have their different groups of people watching them and stuff. So obviously, like Tabletop Tactics they always have it day one. Like if a new codex is out on a Saturday, that Saturday they drop a battle report with that army in. So like they'll be ready to go, I'm sure.
Oh, 100%.
Sure everyone's going to be super excited to see it. I'll be curious to know whether they'll do a battle report or they'll do like a how-to, or they'll do a. But,
well, I imagine it depends on when we get everything, and if creators get points and all that kind of stuff ahead of time and they can talk about it and stuff. But I imagine a lot of the initial stuff is going to be what's in the box versus what's in the box.
Yeah. Just
to kind of, keep it clear. But what do I know? I'm just talking rubbish.
So, as you know, I'm currently failing at day 2 of the Indomitus Crusade. I will be continuing on my this evening on my Twitch stream with these Outrider bikes.
I was going to say, bikes. So how much do you actually get done during a Twitch stream? Because I've seen you do a few. Like, how much do you lose with trying to keep up with chat and everything else?
About half. So we had about an hour of work out of a 2-hour stream, I'd say.
Okay.
And I prefer it that way. If everyone was quiet and I sat there for 2 hours, it would be awful.
Yeah.
If I get 10 minutes of painting and an hour and 50 minutes of yammer and I'm happy, I love that. For anyone who is interested, I do stream on Twitch every Tuesday and Thursday between 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. Irish time. And yeah, we just hang out and do some cool hobby. And it's I like to use it as a set time frame for people to do their hobby. People are always like, yeah, I'm going to do a bit of hobby next week, but it's like the when. When are you going to do it? And then it just kind of slips and you forget, I'll do it tomorrow or whatever. You have a set time. You like to sit down for 2 hours or 4 hours, depending on if you want to show up to one stream or two. And a bunch of people that follow along with me do the same thing. Now that is their hobby time every week, and it's super cool. So
yeah, no, it's one of the I don't watch a huge amount of people on Twitch generally, but it's not usually too busy. Like anyone who messages can message, and whenever I jump in or somebody else jumps in, it seems to be a really like good crowd. Like everyone's like, oh, how's it go? Nice. And everyone's chatting, and you know, I don't ever feel like if you message, it's ignored, which I definitely see on a lot of other, you know, streams, just because they're too busy or because they're not focused on that kind of thing, you know. Yeah.
Times a second they compare. Yeah. So yeah, there'll be links to that below if you want to click on the link on the Twitch and follow along. And then, like I said, I will be streaming not tonight because it's not going to go out tonight, but you know, next Tuesday.
Yeah. And
yeah, also if you're interested, I do have a Patreon, a bunch of different rewards for that, including private Discord server and access to an extra video every single week. So if you're interested in that, there's also links below. Now I've got to try and figure out how to do an extra video this week, as well as the Indomitus week. So that's going to be interesting to try.
I would do a video of you editing the video for one of the days.
Yeah, just Inception, like trying to edit it. Go away, I'll give you another video next week. Just push the camera away.
Yeah, because the trick is then you're editing the video that you're editing the video, but you edit in the video.
Yeah.
So 3 levels deep. It's great.
And goodbye. It's time to. All right, thank you guys for sticking around for another episode of the podcast. We had fun filming and making jokes and hearing me cry about my progress on today of this silly challenge that I decided to do. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow, join Twitch, have a look at Patreon, say hello to Thomas on Twitter, and all of those good things will be linked below. So thank you guys so much, and we will both see you again next week.